All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to explore a really fascinating and, let's be honest, kind of challenging way of looking at human connection. It's all inspired by the work of the legendary psychoanalyst Carl Jung. We're going to try and figure out why some people leave this absolutely unforgettable mark on us, the ones I'm talking about, while others, well, they just sort of fade into the background. And according to this whole theory, the answer has nothing to do with grand romantic gestures or texting someone 24/7. Nope, it's about something much, much deeper. Something that's happening in the hidden, unconscious parts of our own minds.
I mean, this is the question, isn't it? Have you ever really stopped to think about it? Why do some people just have this magnetic pull? They might not be the best-looking person in the room, or the richest, or even the nicest, but for some reason, they just occupy space in your head rent-free. This is the exact mystery that keeps people up at night, and it's the core question we are going to unpack today. And let me tell you, the Jungian perspective offers an answer that is so counterintuitive, it basically flips a lot of modern dating advice right on its head. And right here, this is the heart of it all. This is the idea that's going to guide our entire exploration. Just let that sink in for a second. People don't fall in love with what they fully understand. I mean, wow, that idea flies directly in the face of everything we're told, right? We're taught that you need total transparency, constant communication, that you need to know everything about a person to build a real connection. But this theory? It suggests the complete opposite. It argues that human beings at our core, we're not drawn to a solved puzzle. We're drawn to the mystery. We're drawn to what's a little bit unfinished, what's unresolved, what leaves room for our own imagination to get in there and play. It's in that space of not quite knowing, that's where the seeds of a really deep, powerful attraction are often planted.
So, okay, if mystery is the key, how does that actually play out in real life? Well, this perspective argues that probably the single biggest mistake people make when they're trying to build attraction is, paradoxically, they try way too hard. They overshare. They reveal too much, way too soon. They operate under this belief that being constantly present is the same thing as love. But this theory gives a pretty stark warning. Overexposure can be the silent killer of desire. Think about it like this. It's like in chemistry, right? Too much exposure to one element can completely neutralize the reaction you are hoping for.
This idea is a direct challenge to pretty much all of our modern habits. I mean, think about it. The endless texting, the constant social media updates, sharing every single boring detail of your day from your morning coffee to what you watched on TV. The source material here is pretty blunt. This doesn't build connection, it actually kills the mystery. When you are always available, always explaining yourself, always there, you become predictable. And predictability, in this view, is the absolute enemy of desire. It's kind of like, just as a bright light starts to lose its brilliance if you stare at it for too long, a person can lose their spark when they're always in your face, leaving zero room for you to wonder about them.
So this brings us to this really core dynamic, this fork in the road. Constant presence versus what we can call strategic absence. Now, according to this theory, constant presence doesn't lead to deeper love at all. Over time, it leads to indifference. You just become background noise in their life. You're always there, so they stop seeing you. And most importantly, it completely kills their imagination about you. But strategic absence, now that's a different story. That creates a vacuum. It creates a space for them to miss you, for longing to develop. It actually makes the times you are present feel more valuable, more amplified. And here's the kicker. It ignites their imagination, which, as we're about to see, is the real engine of powerful attraction.
Okay, so if mystery and absence are so powerful, we have to ask the big question, why? Why do they work so well? Well, the answer lies in this really key psychological mechanism that Carl Jung wrote about all the time. It's something called projection. The basic idea here is that when we find ourselves intensely attracted to someone, we aren't just seeing them for who they are. No, a huge part of what we're seeing is actually a reflection of our own inner world, our own desires, painted right onto them. Now, the most crucial thing to understand about projection is that it is an unconscious process. You don't choose to do it. Your mind is doing it automatically, all the time. See, our brains are constantly trying to make sense of the world, to fill in the gaps. So when we meet someone who's a bit of a mystery, someone who's an incomplete picture, our psyche just gets to work. It acts like an artist staring at a blank canvas. It starts painting in all the missing pieces. But it doesn't use their paint. It uses our paint. It fills in the blanks with our ideals, our deepest secret desires, our personal fantasies of what a perfect partner would be. So we stop seeing the person as they actually are, we start seeing them as our unconscious needs them to be.
Let's actually walk through this, because it's like a chain reaction. Step 1. You meet someone who doesn't put all their cards on the table. They hold something back. They're a little reserved. That creates the blank canvas we just talked about. Step 2. Your unconscious mind, which absolutely hates a vacuum, immediately starts filling in those blanks.
And it's not filling them with boring or negative traits. No way. It fills them with the good stuff. Ideal traits like confidence, depth, a sense of adventure, whatever it is that you secretly yearn for. Step 3, you start projecting your fantasies. You start seeing them as the embodiment of your dreams. You see your own desires reflected back at you in their eyes. And finally, step 4, the attraction gets incredibly deep. But here's the question. What have you actually fallen for? According to this theory, you've fallen in love with the incredibly compelling story that your own mind has written.
And this right here, this is the profound and, yeah, maybe slightly unsettling takeaway from this whole idea of projection. So much of what we call attraction isn't really about the other person's objective qualities at all. It's about our own internal world. We fall for the potential, the possibility, the myth that our imagination spins up. This is exactly why oversharing is described as being so fatal to attraction in this framework. When someone tells you everything, when they leave no stone unturned, they collapse that imaginative space. They replace the beautiful, exciting myth with just mundane facts. And in doing that, they can inadvertently break the very spell that our own mind has worked so hard to cast.
Okay, this brings us to what is truly the foundation of this entire theory. We've talked about mystery and projection, but what is the quality in a person that allows them to be mysterious without being manipulative? What allows them to use absence without just being cruel or playing games? The answer from this Jungian point of view is inner completeness, or what we can call wholeness. So this next section is all about making that critical shift from a state of neediness, which repels, to one of genuine magnetism, which attracts.
And this is a really stark warning, so we need to pay attention here. The source material could not be clearer. The single biggest repellent to desire is neediness. When someone displays that desperate hunger for validation, for constant affection, for reassurance, it sends a very powerful, very loud, unconscious signal. And that signal says, I am not whole, I am incomplete, I need you to fix me. This just fundamentally poisons the dynamic. It's no longer about two complete individuals being drawn to each other out of mutual desire. It shifts into dependency. One person becomes the rescuer, the caretaker, the source of all validation. And while that might create some kind of bond based on pity or obligation, this theory argues it will never, ever create a bond based on that deep, raw, magnetic attraction.
So what's the antidote to neediness? Well, in Jungian psychology, it's a lifelong journey called individuation. Now, don't let the fancy-sounding word intimidate you. All it really means is the process of becoming a whole, integrated, and self-reliant person. It's about doing the hard work of facing your own flaws, your own shadows, integrating all the different parts of your personality, both good and bad. It's about finding your center of gravity within yourself, not in someone else's approval. A person on this path doesn't look for a relationship to fix them or complete them. They engage with other people from a place of fullness, not from a place of emptiness. And it's this very quality of self-possession that becomes this incredibly powerful, unconscious source of attraction.
And this all leads to this incredible paradox, which is captured perfectly in this quote. A man who needs nothing is the man they want most. Now let's be super clear. This is not about being aloof or cold or acting like you don't care. Not at all. It's about a deep, unshakable self-respect. It signals to the other person's unconscious that you have a strong inner foundation. It says, I desire you, but I do not need you for my survival or my sense of self-worth. This independence is unbelievably magnetic because it creates a sense of freedom in the connection. It means that any affection you give is a genuine choice, not some desperate plea. It transforms you from a beggar into a king, and that shift in energy, well, according to this theory, that is profoundly attractive.
So when you really boil it all down, the foundation of this kind of attraction isn't about learning clever lines or playing games with someone. It's about the work you do on yourself. It's about cultivating a deep sense of self-respect and inner wholeness. Because when you are complete on your own, you radiate this energy of self-sufficiency. You don't chase, you don't cling, you don't beg for attention. You stand rooted in your own being. And paradoxically, it's this very independence that makes other people want to draw closer to you. Desire, true desire, is drawn to those who are already whole.
Okay, wow. We have covered some seriously deep psychological territory here, haven't we? From the dangers of overexposure all the way to the lifelong journey of individuation. So, what are the core principles we can actually walk away with? Let's try and distill all of these complex ideas into a really clear, really memorable framework that we can actually use.
So, when you get right down to it, it all rests on these three pillars. Pillar number 1, the power of mystery. This is about understanding that you have to leave some space for the other person's imagination to get in there and do its magic. Don't be a solved puzzle.
Pillar number 2, the pull of absence. This is the recognition that being present only really has value when it's contrasted with absence. Using distance strategically isn't about manipulation. It's about creating longing and amplifying your value in their mind. And finally, the most important pillar of all, the one that holds the other two up, the magnetism of self-respect. This is the bedrock idea that true, deep desire is drawn to individuals who are already complete, who don't need another person to validate their existence. It's the energy of wholeness that is ultimately the most magnetic force in the universe.
And that brings us to our final, provocative question that I want to leave you with. After exploring all of this, what do you think? Is true lasting attraction really built on total transparency, on revealing every single thought, every feeling, every flaw? Or is it nurtured in that space of the unknown, in what you consciously choose to hold back, in what you allow to remain a mystery? This Jungian perspective offers a very clear and, a very challenging answer. It suggests that the most unforgettable people, they aren't open books. They are compelling stories that are still being written, leaving us always wanting to turn the next page. It's definitely something to think about.